how can you pursue AAOIFI fellowships and how can you become an AAOIFI fellow? Okay, so the first point that you need to know is that AOFI offers two fellowships, and this is something I informed you in the beginning of the presentation as well, but it's okay. Let me repeat myself now and then. Uh, those two qualifications are the SEPA and CISA qualifications. That's the first point. The second point is that the requirements of the two fellowships are at times different from each other. And that is because even though SEPA and CISA were launched together 15 years ago, that is, these qualifications were launched in 2006, SEPA was revamped and relaunched in 2017, while CISA revamping and relaunching will take place in late 2021 or definitely in early 2022, inshallah. Once the revamped CISA is launched, you will find that the requirements of both the qualifications will be the same, or more or less the same. Now let's talk about the requirement of SEPA and CISA and understand in a nutshell, how can you become an AOFI fellow? So in order for you to become an AOFI fellow, rather CISA fellow, so we'll talk about the CISA fellowship first, all you have to do is register for the fellowship and pass the exam. If you do that, you will become a CISA fellow. However, in order for you to become a SEPA fellow, you need to complete one more requirement. In addition to registering for the fellowship and passing the 4 module exams, which is the completion of 1 year practical experience requirement. If you register for the SEPA program, pass all the 4 modules, exams, and fulfill 1 year practical experience requirement, then you will become a SEPA fellow as well. In order for you to retain your fellowship and continue to be an active fellow, an active AOFI fellow, you'll need to fulfill CPD hours and pay fellowship fee on an annual basis, starting from the 2nd year of fellowship. That is all that you need to know on how to become an AOFI fellow. That was the second point. The third point and the last point I want to make on this slide is about the target audience of the two fellowships. Now, if you are aspiring a career in Sharia advisory and Sharia auditing, and to be honest, the CISA program is more of a is more on the advisory side rather than on the auditing side, then the CISA qualification is for you. The CISA qualification will basically help you understand the Sharia requirements for different contracts and transactions, which is something that you must know if you are an Islamic finance professional, irrespective of your area of expertise or area of specialization. In other words, CISA is a more general and more open fellowship, which should be the first Islamic finance qualification mentioned on your CV. If, on the other hand, you are aspiring a career in Islamic finance accountancy, then the SEPA qualification is for you. Majority of our SEPA candidates that we have are those who have completed their CPA and ACCA qualifications and now want to specialize in Islamic finance accountancy. So in that case, the preferred qualification for them would be the SEPA qualification. Okay, now I'll very quickly go through the details of the requirements of the fellowships with respect to the curriculum, the registration criteria, the exemption criteria, the fees and discounts, the study options, the examination process, and the practical experience requirement. Please do note that there will be some differences for SEPA and CISA fellowship, which I'll highlight as I go along. So the first point of discussion will be the curriculum of SEPA and CISA programs. On your screen, you can see the SEPA curriculum, which comprise of 4 modules and a practical experience requirement. The modules are as follows: the financial accounting reporting module, auditing assurance and ethics module, business and regulatory environment module, and the Sharia standards and Sharia governance module. We will provide study texts for all these 4 modules when you register for the program. In addition to these 4 modules, you will also need to complete the 1 year practical experience requirement. And for the CISA curriculum, all you need to do is study 48 Sharia standards and 4 governance standards. And the book which you'll be using to study for the CISA fellowship will be the AAOIFI Sharia standards, which is publicly available in the PDF format as a free download from the website as well, from the AAOIFI website, and also from other websites as well on the internet. This means that there is only one module for CISA and that there is no practical experience requirement for this fellowship. The registration criteria is the same for both CIPA and CISA fellowships, which is that you need to have an undergraduate degree in a related discipline. Exemptions from this criteria is available, but only on case-to-case basis. The important point to note here is that this requirement is not applicable at the time of registering for the qualification, but rather at the time of applying for fellowship. That is, after you have passed the exams and if required, completed the practical experience requirement, then we will check whether you are undergraduate or not. This clearly means that even if you are not yet an undergraduate, you can still pursue AAOIFI fellowships. Okay, so to begin with, there is no exemptions available for the CISA exam, and obviously so because there is only one module to study for and one module exam to sit for and pass. However, we do offer module exams and PER exemptions. PER stands for Practical Experience Requirement Exemptions in the case of CIPA fellowships. So first point, there are no exemptions available for the FAR module, and FAR stands for Financial Accounting and Reporting. As such, you must sit for and pass the FAR module in order to become a CIPA fellow. Second point, exemptions are available for all the remaining 3 modules as well as the PER of the CIPA fellowship. In order for you to be eligible for exemption from AAE module, that is the audit and assurance and ethics module, you need to have a professional qualification and pass an advanced auditing course. So for example, if you have the CPA or the CA qualification, you will get full exemption from the AAE module. However, if you are ACCA qualified but haven't as yet passed the P7 auditing paper, then you will unfortunately not get exemption from the AAE module. For BRE, there are 2 ways you can get exemption. First, if you have a professional qualification such as CPA, CA, ACCA, etc., which is well recognized by IFAC, then you will get exemption from BRE module of the CIPA program. You will also get exemption from the BRE module if you register for the CIPA program through an AAOIFI affiliate university program. And that is because BRE, we feel that the university would cover this course in their own respective undergraduate or graduate degrees, and we will simply recognize their module as equivalent to our module. However, in both the scenarios, whether you have professional qualification or you're applying through the affiliate university program, there is a possibility that instead of getting full exemption, you are offered partial exemption, which happens when we believe that the risk management part of BRE module is not adequately covered in the professional or university course. In that case, you'll have to submit a research paper on the topic of risk management as partial exemption, instead of sitting for the exam and passing it. So moving on, for the last module, SSNSG, Sharia Standards and Sharia Governance, you'll get exemption from the module if you are a CISA fellow or you're applying through an AAOIFI affiliate university. As I mentioned earlier, you can also get exemption from the 1-year practical experience requirement of the CIPA fellowship. Now, the exemption could be partial exemption or full exemption. You'll get partial exemption, which is 6 months out of the total 1-year requirement if you fulfill the stated criteria on the screen. Basically, what the criteria says is, If you have the required accountancy experience but lack in Islamic accountancy experience, you'll get partial exemption. Whereas if you prove that you have at least 3 months to 6 months of experience in Islamic finance accountancy by working at an Islamic financial institution, then you'll get the full exemption from the practical experience requirement. Now, there might be a situation where the SEPA candidate is unable to pursue practical experience requirement for whatever reasons, whatever legitimate reasons may have. In that case, we do offer an alternative, which is to submit either one lengthy research paper or 2 short research papers on mutually agreed topics. Okay, let's talk about the fees and discounts of the SEPA and CETA programs as well. For SEPA, the standard fee is $2,200, but we do offer 10% and 20% discount to those candidates whose employers are AAOIFI institution members, or if those candidates are registering from the non-GCC countries. For CISA, the standard fee is $1,200, and we offer straight 33% discount for those candidates who are registering from the non-GCC countries. The most important point I would like to make here is that we offer discounts of up to 70% in both fellowships if you register through a candidate registration center, such as the TAIF Digital Institute. And we have such candidate registration centers in not less than 35 different countries. You can visit our website for the most up-to-date list of candidate registration centers, and you can apply through them. The reason we are able to accord such high discounts to candidate registration centers is because we're able to get group registrations of 20 or 25 candidates. This actually means that the SEPA and CISA fellowships are perhaps one of the most affordable qualifications in Islamic finance. Okay, so the big question here is, how can you prepare for the SEPA and CISA exams? There are 3 options. First, you self-study. That is, and this is the default option. All AAOIFI candidates, they receive the study text and the mock exams so that they can prepare for themselves for the exams. The second study option is the option of studying through the training partners, such as TAIF Digital Institute. We partner with quite a few training partners, these training partners, they basically teach or rather conduct SEPA and CISA crash courses for us on our behalf. However, please do note that these training programs offered by the training partners are not necessarily vetted and approved by AAOIFI. And as such, we do not take the responsibility or the liability for the quality of the programs. This is not true for each and every case, but for some of the cases. Having said that, I personally would recommend anyone to take up this option, as the availability of an expert to help you understand technical concepts is truly indispensable. It can actually make the difference between passing the exam or not passing the exam in the first attempt at least. The third study option available to the candidate is through the AAOIFI e-learning portal. Now, this is not currently available, and it's in progress and should be available by the end of this year or the mid of next year, inshallah, maximum. Our goal is to make the SEPA and CISA learning available in multiple languages. Another important detail about the fellowships is to do with the examinations. Now, for SEPA, there are 4 module exams, whereas for CISA, there is only 1 module exam. The passing percentage of each of those modules is 70%, which is flexible based on the complexity and sophistication of the exam. If we feel that the exam was tough, we typically reduce the passing percentage for that given exam window. If, on the other hand, we feel that the exam was relatively easy, we keep the passing percentage at 70%. All the exam questions are multiple choice questions, MCQs, where you have to choose the one best answer out of the 4 options given to you. Some of the questions are scenario based, in which case you will have one scenario given to you, and based on that scenario, you'll be asked to answer 3 or 4 different questions. So these types of questions are called vignettes, and at the end of the day, they are also MCQ questions. For the last 13 years or so, all exams were being physically conducted, but now for the last 2 to 3 years, we have been experimenting with online exams as well, and we have reached the point where we now basically prefer online examinations over physical examinations, unless the exam center in a given jurisdiction is unable to conduct online exams. The CIPA exams are conducted twice every year, that is in June and December, whereas CISA exams are typically conducted every quarter. The highest exam duration is for the FAR module of the CIPA program and for the CISA program, which is 3 hours. And the highest number of questions in a given exam is again for the FAR module of the CIPA program and for the CISA program, which is 100 questions. Now let's talk about the practical experience requirement for the CIPA Fellowship. This is a 1-year practical experience requirement, or rather an internship program in which the CIPA candidate must work at a pre-approved Islamic financial institution under a pre-approved supervisor to complete pre-approved tasks. The candidate then submits periodic reports to AAOIFI, which is evaluated for either a pass or did not pass grade. As I told you earlier, alternative to practical experience requirement, or PER, is also available. And the alternative is to submit research papers. But this alternative is available on case-to-case basis. Okay, so this sums up the discussion on the requirements of the AAOIFI fellowships and hopefully answers the question that we set out to answer. That is, how can we pursue AAOIFI fellowships and how can we become an AAOIFI fellow?
Islamic finance learning made simple and memorable.